In these zoom in with secure cameras. Not sure if you can see, but if you can so. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Obviously, we need to use that action. Let's say, step number 12, stop will be you as the name of my husband today. Today there is Denara Johnson, me, Henry Carr, and then also Michelle and Blair. Next slide. Social work major, plus gender studies, already.
I am a junior urban studies major.
All right, the outline is gonna go, this is basically the outline of what's on the slide that's gonna be brought out. Okay, what is goal setting? How do we set goals, canvas resources, goal setting leadership, and the importance of goal setting and the activities to do that.
So what is goal setting? So goal setting is the process of developing. Is it possible to?
Still getting used to these hybrid events.
So goal setting is the process. Actually, does someone want to read the first bullet point? Go ahead. No.
Goal setting is the process of developing an action plan in order to motivate and guide a person or group in achieving a specific goal.
I want to emphasize 2 points of this. So specific, and we're gonna talk more about how goals can be specific later in the PowerPoint, and how not only how I know a lot of people are used to making goals for themselves, but we will also talk about goal setting and leadership and how when you set goals, it can help you lead a group. And it's important to note that goals are not the same as momentary desires or intentions. I think the biggest thing that separates goals from intentions is that goals also involve action. So I can intend to study for an exam, but if I don't do it, it's just an intention. And just to add on to that, like goals are more deliberate and intentional, like I just said. And setting goals means that someone is ready to put in the time, effort, emotion, and thought into achieving a goal. So it takes a lot, as we all know as college students, to set goals and go through them. If you want a 4.0 GPA for a semester, that, like, in your mind, you know it's gonna be a lot of work. So it's a lot of like passion, emotion, effort to achieve a goal.
There are different factors that go into goal setting. There's financial sections, career, spiritual health, and selection of family health. So when do you notice anything or that's just a difference? So you basically have to consider all of these before considering what you want to do with your goal and what your goal is going to be. So for example, if you're thinking about doing a spiritual goal, or if you want to, let's go easy with a career goal. You have to consider all other aspects of your life. Like if you're considering doing a career, is your health something that could be a problem? You have a companion, or you have something else family-wise, you have somebody you have to take care of, etc.
And we have different types of goals. So I can talk about this in 2 different ways. So you could have a long-term goal, which is to get a 4.0 GPA. But I think sometimes when people make mistakes with goals, or I can speak for myself, is that you want a 4.0 GPA, but to keep the motivation consistent, it seems so far away when it's September 1st and you're like, I want a 4.0 GPA, and the semester doesn't end until December. So along the way, you want to make like a midterm goal or a short-term goal. So the short-term goal could be like, I am going to check in to see if I did all my assignments on time, or make sure that I am just like on track throughout the semester, not turning in things late. And then a midterm goal could be when we get like our progress reports, and you can be like, do I have any alerts from professors? So just to break it down and make it bite-sized, so A, you can stay motivated, and B, it's just easier and clearer when you have something more broken down and specific.
Something to keep in mind, goals should be clear, so they have to be You have to know what they need. You have to know what your goal is, what you're trying to reach, why you're trying to reach it, and be flexible. You can't be something rigid, like, oh, I have to have a 4.0. You could probably think, oh, I could possibly feasibly get a 3.9, 3.8, something like that. It has to be realistic. You can't expect to get a 4.0 if you're in your senior year, you know, your last semester. You have to think about things realistically.
And then how does goal setting connect to leadership? So like I said earlier, as a leader, setting goals for the group gives an understanding of where the group is headed, and it makes things clearer for the group. So I work for a nonprofit in Camden called Be a Lead, and we make goals as a group. Well, the leaders of each specific part make goals for each team just to make things clearer for us. So we just had a meeting last week and we were talking about where do we want to go, like as a team. So a goal that we have is to like educate, I shouldn't say it like that, but in a sense, like let the community know what's going on. So the first step for us to do that and make the thing clear for us is my boss said that we ourselves need to be educated first, because how do we go about letting people know stuff we don't even know what we're talking about? So that really made things clear for us to break down what we want to do to achieve that bigger goal of like educating the community and essentially building a base of people who will go out and advocate, become empowered and like advocate for the community. And goals can also help in delegating work, keeping everyone on the same page, like I kind of just said. Therefore helping leaders to guide their members. And just like when you make goals for yourself, when you make them more specific and you make them bite-sized, it keeps everyone motivated. Because if, I think this happens in like larger projects, if my boss was just like, okay, we're gonna educate the Camden community without outlining how we're gonna do that or giving us any specifics, I myself would become overwhelmed because I would have nowhere to start from. Does anyone have any questions about this? I know this connection can be like, I guess for me, it's pretty interesting.
I'm kind of confusing.
What do you say?
I'm going to guess confusing.
You're going to guess that like the connection is confusing?
Yeah.
Are you too confused right now? Does anyone else have any questions?
Why is goal setting important? There's a lot of reasons why it's important, but it mostly helps you organize your time resources. If you want in the future to have a certain career, you're not gonna go, go with whatever, go with the flow. You have to be able to make certain decisions, you have to make choices, and you know what the outcome of those decisions are. It helps, goal setting also helps you have a clear vision about the direction that is pointed out. If you don't know where you're gonna go, you're gonna be kind of walking in the dark. Here or academics or whatever. So you got your time, especially the mini goals that somebody talked about, and you're more likely to succeed when you set your goals. It's not just like, oh, I kind of want to get a 4.0, but if you make an actual goal and then set out a plan, it'll hold you accountable to get it.
You have a question?
As a high paragraph.
This is actually a video that does a better job than I know I can explain of how to set goals. So this is using the SMART goal framework, and I know some people are familiar with this. We're gonna do activities a little bit later, but this kind of outlines how you can use the SMART goal framework to set very good goals and achieve them.
Thanks for stopping by. This is classroom. Today we're talking about setting goals using SMART. Goal setting is great at any time, but it's especially popular around New Year's at the start of the school year and in sports. I would love to hear some of your goals and comments, and I'll put some of mine in the description below. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. We hope for each of these, example goal do well on your next exam, a common goal. The first step is to make the goal specific. Doing well on your next exam is not specific. first, because you want to hire a friend, or because you want to get into a great person. Whatever you keep working on the goal. Now, much more specific goal. For 90% of next science exam, 4 weeks from now, I want to get to a great person. This goal is great, but not enough. Next step is to make sure the goal is measurable. That means there are some measures attached to the goal, let us know if you reach your goal or not. Looking back at our goal, we see that it's for at least 90%. This is very measurable, and when you take the test and receive the score, you know whether or not you hit the goal. This is why doing well in exams is a core goal. Not measurable. There's no fair way to find success or done. Next step is to check for the goal is achievable. In this step, you want to break the goal down and ask the question of how to achieve this goal. What do you need to do before we get at least 90% of the exam? Some examples may include class, spending 30 minutes per night per week studying for the exam, and partnering with a friend before the exam for notes and go through study guide. The point is, you need enough time. Break the goal down to smaller goals that all feed up to the main goal. This will be a clear path to success. The fourth step is to ensure the goal is relevant. This step is more of a gut check to see if it fits well with your library. Ask yourself the following questions. Does this goal align with my long-term objectives? Does it keep me on track with other goals in my life? Will focusing on this goal pull me away from other more important goals? After finishing this step, you should feel confident your goal is relevant and even more motivated to achieve. Scoring these 90% of your next science step is relevant is with the confidence in school and other goals around future education. The last step is to make goals time-bound. A time-bound deadline asks a target helps you work backwards and set smaller steps to get there. You set a fitness goal to do 100 consecutive push-ups, but don't set a deadline to reach that goal, then it probably won't happen. Because the score on the exam is timed out by default because there is a specific date for the exam, which allows us to break the goal into smaller steps and have to consider. And here's a bonus. If you want to reach your goal, you have to write them down and put them on. I recommend you use a daily planner to track your progress. I put some excellent planner recommendations in the description to help you make your goals a reality. Remember to share your goals in the comments. I'll read and respond to as many of them as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for stopping by. This is
Regarding one thing, drone services. One particular thing, drone services on headphone statement. And hybrid to do. I like how the video of we did the rest of smart steps as even after specific. I like for the
Does anyone else have any comments? I know it wasn't that long, but anyone else have any comments or questions?
Right, because the first month, in the health goal there. The Rutgers campus is great at doing like right there, and you can go in, for example, if you wanted to, really don't, like, oh, I need help, remember? Just go to them, look over your resume, give them a pointer. They give you pointers. You can also go to the student success office. There's a wellness center and then also the rest. All of these places on campus. So you can roll or you're help you with the day-to-day life.
So something that the student success coach office just started this year is peer coaches. So if any of you started at Rutgers, I'm a transfer student, so I don't know when they started this, but you know when they started this? Yeah, it's like not the office, it's just like yeah, it's not the peer coaches, but sorry, no, not the peer coaches, but like I guess the office, like when they started coaching, like
Let's say 2000.
okay, so if they started that in 2016, usually you can only get coaching and you can go to them about like pretty much anything can help with your goals for only first year students. But this year, I'm glad they did this. Now, if you're an upperclassman or any level at Rutgers, you can get a peer coach. And like I said earlier, like hearing this presentation from us might be different because we're students currently. So similarly, with a peer coach, you can go to them, and as I'm a peer coach myself, as we're going through the semester, we can help you with different things that you need. So say you have a goal wanting to get a 4.0, which you need someone to hold you accountable and meet with weekly to discuss, to hold you accountable and discuss where you're at. You can meet with a peer coach, me, you can, oh yeah. You can meet with me or Savannah, and we will help you achieve your goals. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can speak to either me or Savannah afterwards, and we can get you signed up and everything. The wellness center, you might think, how would that help me with your goals? I was just there, I'm not gonna lie, I do go to therapy. And I literally sat down with her and just made a schedule because I'm like, I need to get good grades. So I was like, she helped me make a schedule so I can sit down and work to like get a good GPA. And in the learning center, I will always plug in RJ Portella because I basically saw these although I'm a junior. So RJ Portella is, I don't know if this is their position, but if you were to go to him, I meet with him bi-weekly, and basically like he just holds me accountable as well to achieving my goals and really just helping me manage my time to be able to do that. So yeah, I would say definitely use all these resources, no matter what year you are, because it's a struggle every year.
So this is basically, this is the part where you guys do your exercise. It's going over this markable goal again, that's the big 10 measurable page, like our it's basically, as you already seen the video, and you will basically start, take 2 minutes, start on your worksheet, fill out any goals that you think you need to, where you want to, keep it, and then look through it. What the hell should you guys?
I'd like to jump in real quick. I want to challenge everybody. Because one of the goals that we kept referring back to in this workshop was achieving a 4.0 GPA. I was not a 4.0 student in high school or in college. In high school, I think I graduated with a 1.8. And so let's acknowledge that not everybody's goal is necessarily to get a 4.0. Not everybody's goals, or the most important things that you're concerned about, are focused just on your academics or just on your careers, right? We're human beings before we're students, before we're professionals, right? So think about, Shanarla, can you click back a few slides to where we have the pie chart of areas of our life? Perfect. Think about some of these different spaces and goals that you might want to create for yourselves with them. What's a goal that you have for your relationship with your family and the life that you're living with them? What are some goals that you have for your health or mental health? We've all been going through some kind of thing for the past 2 years almost, right? That's taken its toll in its own ways. What are some of your goals for your social life and your relationships with your friends? For your intellectual goals? I'm one of those people who the best way to get me to not read something is to assign it for a class. But outside of class, I love to read lots of different things, right? How do you want your mind to grow as you go through your life's journey? So I encourage you to think about some career goals, some academic goals, but like, let's acknowledge the rest of our lives, right? And the rest of our personhood. And so with this time, I'd encourage you to come up with a few different goals, maybe for some of these different areas. Then we'll have a chance to talk them out as a group and see what we can do to make them even smarter than they are when we first put them down on paper. Sound good? And our facilitators will be working the room. If you have any questions, if you're struggling to think through how to articulate the goal in the SMART format, we are here to help. So put us to work. That's an excellent question. We should ask it really loud so everybody can hear. Kabir just asked me a wonderful question.
So the first one says, write your goal here. So I'm asking, is it like a long-term goal or just like short-term goals? I mean, short-term goal, like I want to have CGPA 4.0, and long-term goal, like I want to be, contributing to the society. I want to be based on that. So I don't know which one I will write.
So my answer to most things is it depends, right? Think about where you are in life and what's going to benefit. The whole purpose of these workshops is to be beneficial for you, right? And so if there's something in your immediate future that you want to be working towards, it would be helpful to frame as a SMART goal. Start thinking about that. If you're looking a little bit further down the road in your, life's overall trajectory, maybe, start with a goal related to that, but then to what Shania was speaking about earlier, work your way back to some midterm and short-term goals that'll help contribute to that, right? If you do want some extra papers, we can provide them for you happily. So you can come up with like a whole suite of goals, one for each of the 7 areas represented in that pie chart if you want to. Thank you, Kabir.
I'll blame myself so much.
Yeah.
Not gonna go into it.
It's like same thing in well.
How is everyone doing with their activity? Do you need more time?
Okay.
Okay. So how's everyone else doing? More time? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, I don't have.
Yeah, here's one additional your time. I mean, definitely a resource.
Yeah, that works. Thank you.
Have a good one. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to regroup. And for the one part, share our goals, because that's another part of goal setting, is accountability that we talked about all throughout this presentation. Oh yeah. Can you say like your name and your major? I'm gonna get to know you too. Next year you can send it.
My name's Ayub, and I'm currently a sophomore, and undecided. So that was my goal, to decide on a major by the end of the semester. And so I started with decide on a major, but then to get more specific, I put a time limit on it and said by the end of the semester. Is it measurable? Yes, because I'll have to take the semester. I'll pick the major. Can I reach the goal? Yes, because there are plenty of resources being offered, like you guys showed us, that I'll probably have to take advantage of. Is it realistically achievable? Yes. My start date is today, and my end date is the end of the semester. So for some of my short-term goals, I put scheduling an initial meeting with the Career Center, scheduling a meeting with my honors counselor, and planning on taking some sample courses.
Next, we will do that. Talk about your short-term goals. Well, so what I think the goals is to have goals here, how much they go, when I will come here.
So my initial goal is to, first of all, my name is Kabir. I'm biology major, senior. My initial goal is actually to be a medical practitioner, and specific goal to be a cardiologist. Is it measurable? Of course, yes. After school, if I end up practicing, that means I've achieved the goal. That's measurable. Is it achievable? Definitely yes. It's something that I believe is possible. Is it realistic? Absolutely yes. It's realistic. And timely, I do hope to start from this year, because medical career start from your undergraduate till you get to, and I hope to finish by maybe 2030. I will not be too old. Probably I should be in my late 90s. That's a joke. So smart goal, yes, it's a smart goal, because when not just only for myself, it's for my society, because I do believe not only to earn or to learn from the environment, but to give back in terms of humanity service. And I do hope I become a cardiologist. I'm not just gonna make it six-figure, but also do some volunteer work in terms of seeing people going to Texas during the pandemic, trying to help voluntarily. We've seen Doctors Without Borders going to other countries that have like a serious pandemic during the Ebola pandemic last year. And we've seen so many other medical practitioners all over the world going around. That's actually part of what I need to do. So the action plan, what step do I need to take to get to my goal? The first thing is to take the MCAT. Usually your MCAT starts from your junior year or your senior, junior, whichever way. The second, and I hope that's to be done between now and next year, January. And the second thing to do is to graduate from undergraduate. Of course, you want to have your undergraduate. So after your MCAT, during your MCAT. And that hopefully will be between December to next year, ending of the spring. And the medical school, of course, will follow after your graduation and you pass your MCAT, you've written application. And I hope that will happen between 2023 to 2027. That's when I hope to complete a medical school career. And then the residency and the fellowship will follow because of the type of the specialization I'm going for. It requires 3 years of residency, possibly another 3 years of fellowship, which I hope to finish by 2031 to 32, or by 2033 actually. And then set up, what follows to set up a medical practice, go to the school, get a degree, do the fellowship, set up the practice, and therefore I would say yes, achieve the goal of becoming a practitioner. Then what are the obstacles? Of course, we all know financial aid, loans, stuff like that. And what are the ways of possible solution? Is to seek scholarships and possibly financial aid in terms of grant from the state, from federal, or some cases from organization that is not school affiliated. So these are my goals. I don't know if it makes sense.
Anybody else want to share?
I think I wanted to talk about your goals. I think it's really good that you talked about, all, but not all, but the steps that you were thinking about. You gave and the important thing to remember is that even if you don't reach the goal by the day, that failures and mistakes actually mistakes you end up, losing them or not reaching a goal on time. It's not like you didn't know a lot. And that kind of feeling that you like for future goal setting and then figuring out how can I fix this or how can I get it at my next next goal.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, just to add on to that, because I actually wrote that down to note that after we're gonna share our goals, is that, like, Marie said that sometimes like things happen and the time aspect of your goals gets changed. And I think it's always good, like, especially after a failure, to sit down and reanalyze how can I achieve this goal? Because like from personal experience, like with graduating college, like it's still a goal for me, but like a lot has happened that has took me off my path. And it had to make me sit down and reanalyze the goal and how I'm gonna achieve that. So I think that's just a huge part. Like when something happens, yes, like you will get knocked down, but always go back and reanalyze your goals because like stuff happens, but you can always bounce back and do the same thing and still achieve your goals. It might not look the same, but at the end of the day, like you'll still achieve your goal. Might not be the time that you want it to be, but like for Kabiru, you're still gonna be, I think, I forgot exactly what it was, but like you'll still graduate medical school and like become, I think it was a
Cardiologist?
cardiologist.
Yeah.
Yeah, cardiologist. So,
I like to fix that are broken. For females, and if they are broken, just call me. Anyway, to add to that, I completely understand that sometimes it goes as, it goes like you said. And I'm starting graduate school next year for microbiology master's degree. In case, like you said, hey, nobody knows what can happen. If the medical school don't go, I will still have my degree in something else. And in the long run, the main larger goal, the overall goal is to be part of this humanity and contribute not just to live and die, but to live and do something that can change things. And that's like the whole lifetime goal. If I'm not a medical practitioner, I can also be a scientist researching on possibility of solving major critical problems, such as heart diseases. A lot of researches need to be done. And today I actually presented on nanotechnology, how we can use that to combat antibiotic resistance, which have killed a lot of people. So it's just a goal, but in overall goal, if this is not achieved, something else will be achieved and something else will be achieved. At the end of the day, do I live a life of contribution or a life of pay bills, die, and that's it? That's the goal so I've first started considering other goals in line with what I desire to do if it doesn't work out. But just to optimize what I have in mind.
I think what you said really tied into the wheel that y'all showed like prior in the PowerPoint of like what are our values and how it's a value to him to contribute in some way, even if that goal that he has in medical school doesn't happen. He still will make a new goal to serve that purpose that he has. And it like ties into the workshop we had last week about finding your purpose and how goals can change over time, like through your experience and maybe even your failures. So I thought that was a good thing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No matter what happens. know, we analyze it and then go back, you know, don't have to give up and then take all I can't do it. Can't be able to, like, product, can't be priority and focus on practice.
Thank you.
You else wanna share? This was pretty bad because I didn't finish, but I guess I can do it on the fly. So I had a huge goal. It's not really that huge, but in addition to the Institute for Leadership and Action, I'm completing a certificate for civic engagement and social change. And with that certificate, I have to do a capstone. So I was gonna workshop my capstone to make a goal for that. Because I really want to do that well. But I have a smaller goal that's like in the back of my brain. So in addition to everything I just mentioned, I have my own organization because I'm from Camden. So I work with young adults and I create a network amongst them to mobilize and just allow like young people to make change in Camden City. So it's like I kind of have to give it back. But I had an event, a networking event for young adults, and I think it was August 13th. And I have not did any follow-up for that event. Like I haven't reached out to people and been like, how are you doing or anything? So I wanted to send out a newsletter to send out resources and check in with people and ask if they want to join our organization. So my goal is to send out a newsletter. The name of the organization is Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle. So send out a newsletter for LBS. So I made it more specific. So I wanted to send out a recap of the event and a newsletter for, well, the recap of the event will be in the newsletter. And I made it measurable because I guess it's kind of obvious, like I'll know when my goal is achieved when I send out the email to everyone. But I made it even more specific by saying that like I'll send this newsletter out to people who came to the event, people who were involved in the organization that aren't involved now, and anyone else who's interested. Then achievable, I said it is achievable if I make time for it and include it in my schedule, which I know I can do. As I mentioned earlier, I went to therapy and I made a schedule for my therapist. And is my goal realistic? It is realistic, but I said I will make time for it. And I have not set a start date and an end date yet. I will probably start it next week, just because this week is kind of already set in stone. So I might start over the weekend and then finish it the following weekend, so which will be probably like the 24th and 25th. So now my revised goal would be I will send out a newsletter for LBS to everyone who came to the event, past members, any other interested members by October 25th. And action items is I had to like make a contact list of everyone who came to the event and like talk to past members and also like get interest from other people. I had to actually make what's inside of the newsletter. So like type of a recap, put any resources, explain what the organization is again. So prep the newsletter. I think that's pretty much it. Any obstacles could just be like other obligations that I have. So just being intentional and having people hold me accountable to achieve this goal. And I think that's a solution is accountability. So yeah, that's my goal. And if I could just speak on accountability really quick, because I think that's really important to goal setting. You can have different types of people who are accountable. So I'm the type to have really big goals, but I think like my support system really like holds me together to achieving them. Because sometimes like Vanessa knows that like I'll like make a goal, but then like at 9:30 at night when I'm supposed to be doing homework, I'm on Instagram. So I don't want to put Vanessa on the spot, but like she holds me accountable to like do what I want to do. So you can have friends hold you accountable. Like I mentioned earlier, you can get me or Savannah, you can get us paid to hold you accountable. Like other resources on campus, like your advisor, RJ Portola from the Learning Center, even the Wellness Center. So there's a, like just, I don't want to say a conclusion because other people can share too, but like there's a lot of resources on campus to make your goals attainable. And I just hope that everyone utilizes them. But anyone else want to share their goals?
Just a comment is not allowed, just a regular
Yeah, go ahead.
comment? Okay, so you talked about accountability in terms of somebody holding you accountable to your goal. What about if you're in a circumstance where you actually share a goal with people? Now, not just regular, like not just like 2 days ago, but a long time ago, and those people don't believe in you. What do you do? Do you like, how do you, reconcile with that? Say, for instance, I want you to hold me accountable. Like, come to you and say, listen, man, I'm hoping to have a 4.0 GP. And you were like, this campus, I don't think that's possible. For instance, just a regular, like, I don't think you're good at chemistry, you're not going to get it. So how do we treat discouragement from, say, colleagues or friends, or what do we do? What's your advice? And how do we handle that? Like negative vibe, let me put it in that word. How do we handle negative vibe from the people around us?
So on your way out, do not go up through the main steps of the campus center. Go down the west hallway and up the steps that kind of take you outside by Titan Key. And when you get to the top of the steps, turn around, look around. There's a quote by Nelson Mandela that says something along the lines of, while people are saying it's impossible, somebody's out there getting it done, right? Equally as important as Nelson Mandela, Taylor Swift says that the haters are going to hate, right? When you're looking for somebody to hold you accountable, you're looking for a particular kind of person. Somebody who does believe in you, somebody who does see the good in you, and somebody who knows you well enough to have a vested interest in your success, right? So if somebody's discouraging or demeaning your goal, that just means it's not the right person to hold you accountable. I mean, ideally, as we go through life, I think we surround ourselves with people who share our values, who are similar in sense of purpose, which is what we talked about at our workshop last week, and who have similar life goals, right? I anticipate as you move through your MCATs and forward in life, you're probably going to be hanging out with more and more med students, right? Or more and more doctors, or more and more people who are interested in healing professions more broadly. Those are the people that you want to draw in, I think, like the people who see the best in you. Because I think, unfortunately, there are people in this world who, I don't want to say take joy out of, but like knocking people down a peg or two and say, you can't do this. I've found that, if only for my own mental health, it's best not to listen to them, but to listen to those voices around me that say, like, you are good enough, you can figure this out. Or who will give you some honest feedback. But are you really framing this the right way? Does this really align with who you want to be? So I think there's a difference between saying you can't do this, or you're not good enough, or you're not worthy, versus let's critique your form a little bit. I think you can do this better, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I think it's also another thing, like, surround yourself with, like, the community. Like, for example, if you're doing audition, and campus would be like, maybe, let's say you don't have friends on campus, and you're a psychology major, you should probably do a psychology club that you have one of those. And then you go there, you meet some people who, recommended goals, maybe some friends with them, they get, you could, and eventually, push each other to reach your goals. Find people similar to you, whatever goals you have.
Thank you.
So in a group setting, for example, where someone is leading a group to accomplish a certain task or goal, it's ideally the goal would be functioning as one full unit in order to complete these tasks by certain deadlines. When we have certain individuals within a group not fully participating and missing these deadlines, and it affects the entire group, how do we reconcile that?
So a lot of my work involves group projects, and a lot of my work with the Institute for Leadership and Action involves organizing groups. I think that the best thing to do is, so think about that relationship Shanila was talking about earlier between short-term and long-term goals, right? the long-term goal is to get the assignment across the finish line and hopefully get a good grade along the way, right? But that has to break down into mid and short-term goals. And I think the more you break them down, the easier it is to delegate responsibilities to individual group members, right? So to say like, hey, we're planning this workshop. I'm gonna need you to put the slides together based off the research that I'm gonna pull, right? Shanali, can you come up with an activity by this date so that Manri can come up with some discussion questions that relate to it, right? And so just that conversation creates accountability, right? Because now we know we're waiting on Michelle to put together the slides, but that's dependent on me to do the research that I said that I was gonna do. So if Michelle's not able to do the slides and Manri and Shanali are getting frustrated, at the end of the day, we know it all comes back to me and what I'm not doing. And I think as somebody who got a C in their educational psychology course because of a group project gone bad, sometimes you have freeloaders, right? And this is a human problem. I think we see this in our society and our communities. Creating that accountability is one of the ways to try and maintain structure and group cohesion. I think another one though, because I like the way you asked it, you know, from a leadership perspective in a group project, and it sounded like you assumed that one person was the leader in a group project, right? So for the Institute for Leadership and Action, conceptually, we really value this model of leadership called relational leadership that recognizes that in any team there is no boss, but everybody needs to take equal accountability for leading, right? And I think a group project is a great place in which to practice that style of leadership, because at the end of the day, you all have a similar vision. You don't want to fail the class, right? And so that's kind of like a uniting goal that can bring everybody together. If you have somebody in your team who wants to fail the class, speak to your professor, see if you can switch them out. But you know, assuming that nobody wants to fail the class, that's kind of like the shared vision that you can build off of. All right, so our big goal is to not fail the class. What do we need to do the day of presentation? We need to have everything together. What do we need to do before that? And you can kind of reverse engineer from there. That also helps with the accountability piece in saying like, look, nobody wants to fail this project, but that means you need to step up and do what you said that you were going to do. And that can be challenging, especially when we don't know people very well. We're going to be having a conversation in November about assertiveness and how to handle conflict, confrontation, and difficult conversations. So I encourage you to come out if you want to learn some more skills and how to navigate those spaces. But I think those are the two biggest points that I would point out, like building accountability from the group and cultivating that shared vision where that sense of we're in this together and we all are trying to accomplish this.
Question or comment? I guess, yeah, that's the end. If you need a peer coach, talk to me or Savannah. I can't stress that enough. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it was great, like having everybody here and nice to meet everyone. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope that you all achieve your goals. So yeah, have a great rest of your day or rest of your week.
We do these workshops every week on different topics. We encourage you to come out. You want to get a full list of the topics that we're going to be looking at for this fall, please go on our engage page. And we're going to hang out for a few minutes just in case anybody has any questions, thoughts that they didn't want to bring up in front of the whole group. But thank you all so much for coming out and look forward to seeing you soon.